Yo, this is Jaeson Ma, and you're watching channel APA.com. I was just into everything. I was part of an Asian gang in San Jose. I was really into hip hop at the time, also, though. So I was just kind of a rebellious youth. When I was 15, I was high on drugs one night, and my sister, some people call it the gift of prophecy, but she had this really interesting gift. I don't know if you've seen the movie Sixth Sense, where the kids like, I see dead people. That's my sister. So she would see things before they would happen. So she'd be like, hey, don't go across the street tomorrow on this corner. There's going to be a kid with a red bike. He's going to hit you, And I'd be like, right. And it would happen. And so I would listen when she said stuff. So when I was 15, she came in one night and she said, Jason, you got to wake up. It was about midnight. And I was just coming off a high. And she said, Jason, God took me to heaven tonight when I was at a prayer meeting at church. And she said, I saw your book of life. And it was huge. And I was like, what the F are you talking about, right? I'm like, what are you smoking? And she was like, no, I'm serious. And she said, Jason, your book is huge. You're going to do all these things for God. And I said, like, what? She said, you won't believe it, but you're going to be a youth pastor. And I was like, youth pastor? Why the F would I want to be a youth pastor? I was just like, I didn't even really believe in God at that point. Was like, kind of just believed in all things. Didn't have any one religion, but I was just kind of just, drugs and hip-hop and all that other stuff was my God at that time. And so when she said that, it was like, no way. Like, it didn't even cross my mind, or I could even think about being a pastor. Are you kidding me? And then I said, did you see anything else? I was like, was I rich? Did I get famous? Did I win an Academy Award? She was like, no, but actually, you're going to be a rapper. And she said, your music's going to touch people around the world. So I was like, huh, interesting. That's a little better. I ended up recording a demo of kind of a hip-hop slash acoustic worship rap album with a kid from USC, my friend Mike Wang, and we formed a little group called Namesake, and we made this little album, and somehow it got out there, and one of my friends, she's from high school, she's an actress, and she's here in Hollywood, and I've been mentoring her for 10 years. Her name's Kathy, and she heard my CD, and she was like, hey, you should give this CD to my friend. And I was like, who's your friend? Oh, his name's Carl Choi. I said, who's Carl Choi? She says, he manages like these big Asian hip-hop bands like Jin the MC and Far East Movement. I was like, wait a second, I know who this guy is. I was like, why would he want a Christian rap CD? Just being honest, right? She's like, just give it to him. I'm like, no, he's not going to listen to this. And she's like, no, just do it for me. And I was like, alright, fine. So she grabbed the CD, she gave it, sent it or whatever, I forgot about it. 3 months later, I get a phone call. She's like, hey, this guy Carl wants to meet with you for lunch. I was like, huh, okay, that's interesting. So we end up having lunch in downtown LA, and the first question that he asks me is, so what do you do? I said, I'm a minister. And at that point, we had a very spiritual encounter, a divine encounter, and it brought Carl back to faith. And I was able to help him find faith in a way that would work for him, and at that point he introduced me after that to Kevin Nish from FM, introduced me to Jin, and I was able in a way to really kind of just help them find faith also, and through that we ended up starting, we have now like house churches here in Hollywood that are for people directly in the arts and entertainment. And so that's kind of how I kind of got connected with this company here, which now me and Carl have our own company called Asian Digital Ventures Network, which is a digital broadband television network for Asian entertainment and global lifestyle. Yeah, so this is my new single. It's Love, Love, Jaeson Ma. Basically, this single is a very unique and interesting story behind this song. When I made my first demo, Kev Nish from Far East Movement and Jin both heard my songs, and they said, Jason, this is dope, this is cool, but it doesn't really stand out from anything else that's out there. And they said, we feel like rap for some reason restricts you from being you. Really, when you pray and you preach and you prophesy, there's something special and supernatural and powerful about that. I mean, have you ever thought about maybe just preaching over music? And I was like, I thought about it, but I wouldn't know how people would accept that or how it would even work. And so we're in the office, here, and Kev was asking me, like, what do you want to do with your music? He's like, hold up a second. He says, I have an idea. He says, do you have any of your sermons on YouTube? I was like, yeah, I got a bunch of sermons on YouTube for the years. He's like, okay, go find one of them right now. I was like, okay. He says, you know that beat your friend just gave you? Play that beat right now and play one of your sermons over the beat, see what happens. And so I said, all right, play the beat, which is the beat that you hear in the song, Love, the original, rough cut. And I played one of my sermons on YouTube, and when the two played together, it was like, bam. It's like heaven touch earth. And all of a sudden, Kev was just like, holy, my hair's standing up. You feel that? And he was like, this is the craziest. He was totally excited. He was bugging out. He was like, yo, man, this is the craziest thing I ever heard. He's like, this is beyond rap, He's like, you just got to preach. You just got to speak on music. And he said, there's a whole other category of music. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, brown, or yellow. It's just inspirational. It's truth. You're a truth speaker. And I was like, you serious? He's like, yeah, man, this is crazy. He's like, ask Tom. And Tom's like, yeah, it's all right. And so at that point, he was like, can you preach anytime, anywhere, any place? I was like, yeah. He's like, freestyle preach? I was like, dude, I've been preaching for 10 years. Of course, I could preach in my sleep. He's like, well, why don't you preach about something right now? I was like, what do you want me to preach about? He's like, love. So I was like, all right. Played the beat, and I just prayed, and then first words that came out of my head. Now Hollywood wants to make you think they know what love is, but I'm gonna tell you what true love is. Love is not what you see in the movies. It's not the ecstasy. It's not what you see in that scene. You know what I mean? I'm telling you right now, true love is sacrifice. And so when I said that line, he was just like, oh, he's bugging out again. And so at that point, he was like, I know what we can do, You're just going to speak truth, speak what's on your heart, and we'll create these radio smash singles, with powerful and beautiful hooks, that people can listen to as actual songs. It'll be like a new sermon. At that time, we're trying to think of a way to introduce kind of this world that I've been navigating through for the last 10 years, which is Christianity in the global Asia. How could I actually tell that story and tell what's happening on the ground to the world? And so realizing that this is such a huge movement, but no one in the West and most people outside of Asia have no idea of how huge Christianity and faith is in the Asian continents and the Asian regions. And so most people don't know today that basically the fastest growing number of Christians in the world today are not in the West, they're in the East. And so a lot of these things, people have no clue, no idea that the same Jesus that an American Caucasian worships in a church in Little Rock, Arkansas on a Sunday morning is the same Jesus that tens of thousands, if not millions, are worshiping across the other side of the ocean in Asia. And so how could we actually document this, show what's happening, and see how this radical, powerful, inspirational, and society, social impacting faith is transforming the landscape of Asia. And so basically that's where we got the idea to tell the story of Christianity in Asia. And we call it 1040, which is 10 degrees and 40 degrees latitude of this area and this region, from about Japan down to Southeast Asia, across India, into Central Asia, into the Middle East, is what we call the 1040 window. So anyways, if you want to check out the trailer, go to 1040movie, 1040movie.com, www.1040movie.com, and find out about 1040, support this film, get it out there, blog it, tweet it, tell your mom about it, tell your church about it, tell your friends, whoever. It's going to be a documentary that will inspire you and hopefully change your life.